Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'll discuss about entrepreneur trade uh, for a for a little session, right? And you remember at the first outset, I said this international trade could be divided into three categories, right? In the first session or in the second session, I may have said that it carries in the first handout itself: import trade, export trade, and entrepot trade. Don't worry so much on the pronunciation. It's spelled as ENTREPOT. I have given you a handout today. Entrepot trade. Some people pronounce this as entrepot T style. Right. So we'll see what is entrepot trade is. It's very popular in Sri Lanka also as well. This entrepot trade is a trading post. Trading post. Right. That is a stoppage. Stoppage. So we'll take an example. We'll take two countries, China and Bangladesh. Thus, trading happens from China to Bangladesh. Goods are moving from China to Bangladesh. That's a contract between China and Bangladesh. Seller is in China and the buyer is in Bangladesh. But these guys, seller and the buyer, are unknown to each other, meaning they don't have a sales agreement. They don't have a sales agreement or a contract of sale. And they are a facilitator, domiciled in Sri Lanka. Through his trading desk, he will find suppliers from China to Bangladesh to get down the required quantity of the goods, and he will find suitable buyers or promising buyers or promptly committed buyers from Bangladesh to China. But this particular chosen supplier and the buyer will not be revealed to each other. Right? The supplier will not know who the buyer is in Bangladesh and vice versa. So, in other words, Sri Lankan party is an intermediary party, and for he doesn't, this Sri Lankan guy will not perform, does so it nothing, but he will have a markup and allow the China and Bangladesh to trade. So, according to Central Bank of Sri Lanka's regulation, this entrepot trade in Sri Lanka could be effected in four methods. So I have spelled it out in ABCD in the handout, and the Central Bank circular numbers I have given. It was formulated by the Exchange Control Department then, which was revamped or rescinded in November 17, meaning the Exchange Control Department, and formed a new department called Foreign Exchange Department. There's no exchange or EC department now. There's a Foreign Exchange Department. So, with the immigrant of the Foreign Exchange Department, certain features or the restricted constitutive features found in the entrepot trade was, rescinded or been amended. And the latest is this that I have given you. So we'll take the same example. Goods are moving from China to Bangladesh. So one way of the entrepot trade is goods move from China to Bangladesh, and the documents, that is the shipping documents, will not go to Bangladesh bank, but to a Sri Lankan bank. Sri Lankan bank. I'm just taking the outward picture for to understand what trade is. After that, we go into a little bit of detail in technical aspects of it. Goods are moving from China to Bangladesh, but the shipping documents are coming to Sri Lanka for the Sri Lankan buyer or the Sri Lankan buyer's bank. Remember, the shipping documents will not go to Bangladesh, right? In this particular document, there are the bill of lading also as well, which carries the title of the goods. You know, the bill of lading carries the title of goods. In this shipping document, the bill of lading also been accompanied. And in this bill of lading, it will come to the order of a Sri Lankan bank. It will be consigned or to the order of a Sri Lankan bank or to the Sri Lankan buyer, right? So we'll say order to the order of Sri Lankan bank. So if accidentally, if the documents are being routed to Bangladesh even, the Bangladesh buyer will not be able to clear the consignment by surrendering the bill of lading to their own customs. The reason why is this is to the order of a Sri Lankan bank. So the Sri Lankan bank will endorse on the reverse of the bill of lading. It will endorse or endorse on the reverse of the bill of lading to the buyer's bank in Bangladesh. Buyer's bank in Bangladesh. And it will say deliver. That's how you make an endorsement. You say deliver to buyer's bank. And these documents will be given back to the buyer, and the buyer will substitute his own invoices. It happens actually in the bank's counters. Buyer will substitute his own invoices in lieu of the invoices that he got it from China, so that the Bangladesh party will not know from where the goods will come, or they can sense the goods are coming from China, all right, but the party's names and the consignor's name or the seller's name will not be liable, and this Sri Lankan buyer will substitute the invoices. And one more thing to remember, these invoices will have a markup value. Markup value. If the value of these documents is 50,000, he will show these documents as if it's $51,000 markup value. Now, after that, he will request the Sri Lankan bank, that is his banker, to remit the documents to the Bangladesh. Now, what is these documents? Substitute documents. Substitute documents. All documents what they have sent cannot be substituted. There are certain documents could be substituted. Now, the bill of lading, which had been obtained by the Chinese guy after placing the goods on board the vessel, cannot be substituted by the Sri Lankan guy. That is why the bank endorses. But the invoices, packing list, weight list, everything could be substituted. Right? And if the China sends a certificate of origin, the Sri Lankan buyer can, refrain from sending the certificate of origin. So the documents, subsidiary documents are sent across to the Bangladesh guy, right? And after that, the Bangladesh bank, these documents are sent to the Bangladesh bank actually, to the buyer's bank, and the Bangladesh bank will reimburse Sri Lanka for $51,000. For $51,000. And the Sri Lanka will pay 50,000 to China bank and 1,000 for the intermediary, the Sri Lankan guy. So this is how it happens in one way, one method. This is a bit of a complex area, so you have to concentrate a little bit. I'll tell you again. In this method, goods are moving from China to Bangladesh. Goods will never come to Sri Lanka, but they are going to Bangladesh. But the documents has to come to Sri Lanka, right? And when it comes to Sri Lanka means the sense of Sri Lankan buyer or the Sri Lanka's buyer's bank, depending on the transaction. If it's on the LC, this doesn't happen, it should come to the bank. So, for the Chinese person to send the documents across to Sri Lanka, there should be some consideration should be given by the Sri Lanka to the Chinese bank. Otherwise, why should they send the documents here? And to happen that, in the first outset itself, Sri Lanka should send a LC favoring the Chinese bank, favoring the Chinese beneficiary rather to the Chinese bank. Or it can make an advance payment, can send a DP or DA. Any method of payment could be done to the Sri Lankan bank, so that the Chinese bank will prompt to send the documents across to Sri Lanka, right? Sri Lanka bank could have one the letter of credit and document collection, or by open account, or by advance payment, right? Second method is I hope that you take short notes on that. Second method is, now what is the first method? Goods are moving from China to Bangladesh and the documents are coming to Sri Lanka. Now the same transaction. Second method, goods are coming to Sri Lanka. Goods are coming to Sri Lanka. But these goods will be kept under bonded warehouse. It will be bonded. Bonded. Bonded to whom? To the customs. So it is the customs bonded warehouse. In other words, these goods are not meant for clear and sell it in the local market. These goods be kept in the bonded warehouse on a considerable time period until the other touching vessel from Colombo to Bangladesh occurs. Until such time, goods will be kept in here. The documents, as usually, should come here. In any method, documents should come to Sri Lanka. There's no way the documents could move from China to Bangladesh in any four methods. In the first method, goods were moving to Bangladesh, and the documents are coming to Sri Lanka, and to be substituted in the Sri Lankan bank counters. Bill of lading will be endorsed and remitted to Bangladesh. Right. The second method, goods are coming to what you call to Sri Lanka, but it not be cleared for import, but kept in a customs bonded warehouse. Customs bonded warehouse. Right. These goods moving moving from the second country to the third country. Second country to the third country. In my example, second country is China, third country is Bangladesh. In the second method, goods are coming to the first country, that is to Sri Lanka. Coming to Sri Lanka. I need not say documents have to come to the Sri Lanka, any method of payment, documents have to come to Sri Lanka. So goods are coming to Sri Lanka, but kept in the customs bonded warehouse. Bonded warehouse. Goods are bonded. Goods are bonded means the buyer will not have the access to clear the consignment. It will be kept under the customs bonded warehouse. It's true that it's in the Sri Lankan territorial waters or in domicile in Sri Lanka, but it's bonded in the customs and sent across to Bangladesh when a touching vessel comes to Colombo, or rather connecting vessel. Third one, same thing, with a slight difference. Goods are coming to Sri Lanka. Goods are coming to Sri Lanka and bonded again. But the purpose of bonding here is different. Where there are certain consignments, the Sri Lankan guy wants to show the Bangladesh guy, this is made in Sri Lanka. So therefore, without harming to the goods or to the formation of the goods, he can pack the way that the Bangladesh wants. He can label the goods. And simple adjustments could be done to the goods. When I say simple adjustment means a long sleeve shirt cannot be cut into short sleeve shirts. Right? Formation of the goods cannot be disturbed. But the simple modification could be done, mainly packing and labeling. Packing and labeling. Right? And say packed in Sri Lanka. So that happens in the bonded warehouse itself. In the bonded warehouse itself. And for that purpose only it's being kept in the bonded warehouse. Then after that, that has to be repatriated to Bangladesh. But the goods. Fourth method. It happens mainly on air cargo. Air cargo. Goods are coming to Sri Lanka. When you say air cargo, it's not necessary to mention that it's bonded, right? It's coming to the airliners, to the airport of Sri Lanka, unloads to a different aircraft and sent across to Bangladesh. Even that method, the documents have to come in here. Unless documents reaches to Bangladesh, the Bangladesh guy will not be able to, clear the consent. Yeah. Right. Hope that the board is clear now. So I will rush again. In order for trade, actually this order for trade happens so that the entire journey that is from China to Bangladesh journey will not happen on a single vessel. There will be a stoppage in Sri Lanka and there is another connecting vessel going from Sri Lanka to Bangladesh. There could be instances from second country to Bangladesh or to third country. Goods are moved straight away, depending on the nautical mileage of it. Otherwise, this trading post being occurred to cut short the voyage, duration of the voyage. And also there's another important thing that you need to mention. Now, when you read the circular, those things will not come. But now, since I told you the goods are coming to wonder, since it is not clear, there's no import duty. So this on-board trade happens to eliminate the export duty and the import duty. Export duty and the import duty. But again, there's a little bit of a catch in here. Customs, when the goods are being kept under customs border warehouse, you can't keep the goods indefinitely. Customs will want some kind of a guarantee from the Sri Lankan bank, that is through the buyer, to get a bank guarantee saying that these goods are repatriating, right? Otherwise, they will claim from the guarantee. So, or they might, put a fine for import duty or retaining charges or whatever it is. So, we call it as detention. So import duty and the export duty are not being seen here. And also, there's another thing that is obvious, it goes without saying. There are two legs actually. Two legs. You have the export leg. This is the export leg. And this is the import leg. There are two legs. So the value of the export has to be higher than the value of the import. Value of the export has to be higher than the import. Otherwise, counterpart trade will not work. Also, this intermediary will not get a markup. Right? I hope that you understood the four widgets. Four widgets are very leniently mentioned in the circular in under A, B, C, D. Right? If you read plainly, you will be able to catch that. And one more thing that I need to tell you here, which applies to all four widgets in common. Now, this is the second country and this is the third country where I took as China and Bangladesh, and you have a Sri Lankan guy in the trading post. Say, China wants to send across 50,000 worth of goods, $50,000 worth of goods to Bangladesh. Bangladesh buyer. This buyer being sent by the Sri Lankan guy to the trading desk of the bank. Sri Lankan bank has advised the Sri Lankan buyer, this is the potential buyer, and he advises the Chinese bank also as well. Right? So, for China to send the good across to buyer, there should be some kind of a consideration or some kind of a guarantee sent by the Sri Lankan bank first to the Chinese bank, meaning to the Chinese exporter. So that you can decide what is the method of payment that you can do under LC, under document declaration, open account, or advance payment. So we'll see under LC video. So you open LC for $50,000. Who opens? The Sri Lankan bank at the request of the intermediary party. You open LC favoring the Chinese beneficiary to the Chinese bank for $50,000. In this LC, it's slightly technical. If you want, you just take it, otherwise just leave it. In this particular LC, the Sri Lankan bank has to structure the LC in such manner the bill of lading will not be to the order of the buyer. Usually when a LC will open, it goes without saying, if you are by default, that the bill of lading has to be on the order of the issuing bank. So you need not mention. But you have to specifically mention here, because the goods are going somewhere in the sense to another country, and the documents are coming to this country. So bill of lading will be to the order of the issuing bank. Now, who is the issuing bank? Not the Bangladesh. Though the buyer is seated in there, issuing bank is the Sri Lankan guy. Right? So issuing bank to the order of issuing bank. To the order of issuing bank. So bill of lading will be the what you call this LC. One of the conditions of the LC is to the Chinese bank. The bill of lading has to be to the order of the issuing bank. Then only he will have a chance of further endorsing to the Bangladesh bank. So Bangladesh bank will further endorse to the Bangladesh buyer for him to go and surrender to the shipping agent. That's how it happens practically. right? And the Sri Lankan bank should discourage all possible endeavors to call for a certificate of origin, because certificate of origin cannot be replaced by another party. That is a cheat, right? As far as possible, you should eliminate this. Convince the guy to the buyer, yeah, look, if you call for certificate of origin, that certificate of origin has to be sent across to Bangladesh. So obviously, they will know the seller. They will get to know the seller. Right. So likewise, you have to very carefully draft it. It's just an LC, all right, but the underlying transaction is an on-the-spot trade. So when a customer asks for a 50,000 LC failed to Chinese guy, you always have to interview and see what is the underlying transaction is. Right? Now, when you say the bill of lading to the order of issue bank, it as if the goods are coming in here. Right? But in the bill of lading, there are two provisions. I have given a specimen of the bill of lading also to you all. Just have a look at it at leisure. You have there are two provisions in the bill of lading called the port of loading and port of discharge. The port of loading could be, we'll say as an example, Ningbo. Ningbo is a seaport of China or Shanghai, right? But the port of discharge, obviously, Chinese fellow cannot be influenced to put as Colombo, because he knows for sure goods are going to a port of call in Bangladesh. So the port of discharge will be Dhaka. Now see, the port of discharge is Dhaka, but still we want to endorse the bill of lading or issue the bill of lading to the order of issue bank in Sri Lanka. So really there's an inconsistency. So when a customer brings a registry application with the request, then you should suspect that this based on on-top trade. Customer will not know the word of on-top trade. Right. So I'm telling again, bill of lading has to be issued to the order of issue bank, and the port of discharge is not Colombo, but in Bangladesh. So our Sri Lankan guy also fraudulently cannot clear the consignment. Obviously, goods will not be in Sri Lanka for that matter. Right. Now these documents has to be substituted by the buyer for a markup value, I say. Right. So these invoices will carry the Sri Lankan address. These commercial invoices will carry not the Chinese addresses, but Sri Lankan addresses, and such invoices will have a markup value than the $50,000. And the same bill of lading will be further endorsed by Sri Lankan bank to the order of a Bangladesh bank. Right. So he has this set of documents. And on what grounds you have to reply? Earlier I just rushed and said these documents have to be remitted. You can't just remit, no. There has to be another method of payment from Bangladesh to Sri Lanka for that matter. So we have to have another SC from Bangladesh favoring Sri Lanka. Right? Then only Sri Lankan guy becomes an exporter. Or another BP collection or a DA collection, open account, and advance payment. Right? Any method of payment will adhere. Right? And if it is on the LC, we'll say we took as LC here also. If it is on LC, there should be export LC to favoring Sri Lankan guy. And you have to fulfill the terms and conditions of the Bangladesh LC also as well. And for that, we need to liaise with the buyer and see that the LCs match. Otherwise, when you remit the documents across, if the Bangladesh guy or the Bangladesh bank will see discrepancy in the documents, the so-called payment will not receive by the Sri Lankan. But since the Sri Lankan bank has already opened a LC, the Sri Lankan bank or Sri Lanka is liable to pay if these documents from China coming, but the documents that came from China are compliant, the Sri Lankan bank or the intermediate bank has to pay. So you have to be extremely careful when you're exporting documents, or rather when you're remitting documents. The documents have to be remitted on the strength of another consideration. That's an export agency. You have to see that the documents are compliant. Otherwise, you will not get the monies from the Bangladesh plan. Right. So that is the on top of trade, not in a nutshell, but in a comprehensive manner. But that will not be good enough for you to enhance your knowledge. You need to, read the what you call the circular from top to bottom very carefully, because it's not since the other than the first paragraph given in here, that is why I put my name here. Other than that is a central bank text that I have extracted. Right. Right now, take the revolving facility handout that I gave you the other day. Revolving facility. I think I did the first sum, right? Right. So there's a big variance in the second sum. I'm not quite sure who have attempted that. That is facilities 1. Question number 2. Right. I'll give 1 minute to read the question. Just read the question, and after that you read with me also as well. Take the question right from top to bottom, and just rush it. Don't absorb anything to your this thing, but then system, just read and see what's the idea of it. You will see there are two raw materials are brought down to satisfy the export from 2 different countries, right? Right. Read with me. Your valued customer Jayakant Limited has secured an export order for US dollars 350,000, payable 60 days DA terms. That is the export order. In order to manufacture required goods, your customer will have to import 2 kinds of raw materials, R and M. They will have to purchase raw materials local TR. There are 3 raw materials. 2 are getting imported, that is R and M, and T you have to buy locally. Right. So you need to have all 3 raw materials to manufacture the export, right? They have contracted with supplier to purchase R on use and AC terms, payable 60 days from date of acceptance by the issuing bank, and M from another supplier on site AC term. The ACs for the import of R have to be issued 4 weeks before the shipment. ACs for the M have to be issued 4 weeks before the date of shipment, both opens on the same day. And the minimum order quantities use dollars 20,000. 200,000, sorry. It will take further 4 weeks to goods and documents to be received in Sri Lanka. The raw material T will have to be purchased at the time of taking delivery of the imported raw materials, right? For each export shipment of raw material required is 200,000 of R, 100,000 of M, and 7,000 of T. Right. The importances are issued The import is issued for the minimum value, but must cover the raw materials required for the single export shipment. Right, that's the custom duty and the thing is there. The other paragraph is the time taken to manufacture the goods and export them will be 4 months. Fine. And they're asking you to structure a package of financial facilities for the purpose of servicing this order. Indicate the basis on which the revolving credit limit for each facility was computed. The facilities are to be extended in Sri Lankan rupees. Assume that the rate of exchange is 100 rupees for $1. Right. Now we'll try to draw the timeline first, right? Right, be with me for a while. I'm talking about the import leg first, right? Import leg, because you are starting with LC, so you have to have the import leg first. Remember this type of LC, in this particular case, the Jayakant is the exporter plus the importer. To satisfy the export, he has to get down the importer. So he is the exporter and the importer. There are only one guy, right? So there are two legs, export and import leg. Just like the forex sum this is. So we'll draw a timeline. That is time against transaction. So there are two LCs, R and M. That is to bring down raw material R and to bring down raw material M. Right. R on use and sales terms. Right? That is 60 days for rate of acceptance. It is usance. MV site. What I'm trying to do is, you can see the board properly, right? A bit on. Right. So LC R is on the users 60 days. Then M is on the site. Right. The LCs for the import of R have to be issued 4 weeks before the shipment. Right. So if this is the shipment date, draw with me, yeah? 4 weeks before the shipment date, this particular LC for R has to be issued. The LC for the import of M have to be issued 4 weeks before the shipment date. So this was the M. So you have to see the sum carefully, and if it gives you a different date, then you have to make sure that you plot it differently. Right? So there are two LCs, R and M. R is on the user 60 days, M is on the site shipment date, and 4 weeks prior to shipment date, both R and M LCs are being opened. The LCs for the import of M have to be issued 4 weeks before the shipment, and the minimum order quantity is $200. That is, they are referring to M. Right. So this is $200,000. It will take further 4 weeks for the goods and the documents to receive. So this is the time that the documents and the goods are being received plus goods. If they won't mention this, then you have to make an assumption saying that the documents and the goods are received at one time. In many instances, almost in all instances, they will give me the sum, so that won't be a complication in there. So it will take further 4 weeks to receive documents and goods. Right. The raw material T will have to be purchased at the time of taking delivery of the imported raw material. That's the last sentence of that particular paragraph. So T, I am unable to put it in here. It's an off-cue item. Right? So what you remember, don't forget the T. So I will put T here. So the Adivasan will forget. Now see that particular whole paragraph of import leg, I have plotted timeline. So idea of putting the timeline is to copy the sum into a linear format. Right. Now there's a qualification in this particular sum that we see in the first sum. There's a qualification. For each export shipment, the new raw material requirement is 200,000 of R. So therefore, this was about 200,000. Right? And US dollars 100,000 for M. US dollars 100,000 for M. But the LC has to be opened for 200,000 in the earlier paragraph. According to the earlier paragraph, LC has to be opened for 200,000, even though that you need only 100,000 worth of goods. Because they say, if you refer quickly the second paragraph, it says minimum order quantities US dollars 200,000. I'm quoting from the import deck paragraph, right? So you see now, 200,000 each LCs has to be issued under users and site basis, and for that the customer should have two separate limits. You cannot amalgamate the limits because it's on the user side. You have to have two separate limits, right? So our objective is to structure two separate limits, right? That is for LCs. So I'll read again. For export shipment, raw material requirement is 200,000 of R, 100,000 of M, and 7,000 of T. Right. So we remember this. We are not putting anything in the in the timeline because it's not an import. You are purchasing locally. This is a time transaction timeline for the importation only. The custom duty and trading charges will read separately. And the next important paragraph, the other day I told you, the time taken to manufacture goods and export them will be 4 months from the date of the raw materials are received in Sri Lanka. So the date of delivery of the raw material is this point. So it takes further 4 months. 4 months. Not 4 weeks, 4 months. Right. So after 4 months, these goods will be manufactured and ready for assembly for export. So when the goods are ready for export, what happens? Documents are given to the bank to purchase the export bills. So when you purchase the export bill, you are raising money. Documents are not realized, but you are purchasing beforehand. Right. So export bill is worth how much? First paragraph, US dollars 350K. 350K. Right. In the first paragraph, it says the payable terms is 60 days DA. So to realize this proceed, it will take further 2 months. 2 months. 2 months. Then you get the export, realized export proceeds. Realized export proceeds. Now this is the complete timeline. The complete timeline. Examiner will not worried about this, right? So you needn't be so neat and use the rulers and kind of thing and waste time. But without the timeline, you won't be able to structure the basis of calculation. Right. Now the assumption of years, no? That is 4 weeks equal to 1 month. On that basis, you have 4 weeks between the shipment and the AC. So if this is Jan, this is February. January 1st, February 1st. Then 4 weeks from 1st February will be 1st of March. 1st of March. So from March, it takes 4 months to assemble the export. That is April, May, June, July. 1st of July. 1st of July. 2 months from July will be August, September. 1st of September. Now we have completed the timeline. Now very easy to draw up your TA accounts and look at the TA accounts. You can write the ways of calculation, and after looking at the TA account again, you can write the calculation of the limit. Very easy, right? Now we'll take the first facility. LC facility. Users 60 days. 60 days. Right? That is to report the raw material R. Now this is your TA account. These are all in a rough sheet, right? In rough sheet in the sense, these are all unnecessary things for the examiner. He will not search for these cut marks or give marks for you. But you need this for the references. Right. So we'll have the receipts outstanding account for R in the month of January, 1st January. You open AC for R 200,000. I will tell you one more thing. There are students who draw two separate lines, two separate timelines, because there are two raw materials to make it more presentable. That's very nice. But that presentable is not, regarded by the examiner. So these aren't idea, But if you can figure out, that's what matters. Otherwise, you are wasting time. Right. So 1st January, you open AC, that is, I'm talking about R now, for 200,000. 200,000. You're writing with me, right? Okay, 200,000. Then 1st February, again 200,000. Documents are coming in 1st March. So I told you, when the documents come, that's a direct charge towards the bank, meaning the indirect liability converts into a direct liability. So when you say indirect liability converts into direct liability, the indirect liability gets depleted and the direct liability resurrects. So depletion is shown in the LC outstanding account. This is LC outstanding account shown by crediting the LC outstanding account on 1st March for the value of documents. 200,000. Now you see that's the depletion in the account. There are 400 here, but the outstanding is only carry forward figure is only 200. 200 goes off. Right. Now end of January, the outstanding of the AC is 200,000. End of February, the outstanding of the AC is 200,000 into 2. End of March, the outstanding of the maximum outstanding, the maximum outstanding in here or the exposure against the customer is again 200 into 2, because this March 1 goes with the March 1. Right? So from March onwards, all the outstandings are getting eliminated, leaving only the 200,000 twice. So even though the ACs are open every month periodically, bank is fixing a limit to the customer is $400,000. Right? So that is 200,000 into 2, the 400,000. But the customer is in DBU section, so that means you have to revalue in rupees, and the conversion rate is given as 100 per dollar. So that will be 40 million. 40 million. Understood? Right. So we'll take it in another quick time. the base of calculation and say LC facility, that is first facility, LC facility, usance, you can say U or usance. If you say usance, you have to give the period. Usance, say within parentheses 60 days, hyphen R, capital R, hyphen capital R to denote, that is to import raw material R. Customer has to open a user's LC, and for him to open a letter of credit, the bank has to fix or earmark a user's limit. That's why we were trying to do. Right. So that's the caption of yours. Then you say, name of the customer is Jayakanta. You say, to import raw material R, import a raw material R. If I'm a bit fast when I'm dictating, just make a what you call a note in the chat, right? I will slow down a little bit. So import to import raw material R, Jayakanta Limited, Jayakanta Limited, Jayakanta Limited, will have to open an usance LC. We'll have to open an usance LC. To the value of US dollars 200,000. To the value of US dollars 200,000. I'm looking at the sum and telling, huh? You can look at the timeline of what do you call ID base of calculation. 12,000. This LC will have to be open 4 weeks before the shipment. This LC will have to be open 4 weeks before the shipment. 4 weeks before the shipment date. 4 weeks before the shipment date. It will take further 4 weeks to receive the documents and goods. It will take further 4 weeks to receive the documents and goods. Therefore, this user's LC will be outstanding for 2 months. Therefore, this user's LC will be outstanding for 2 months. Underneath, therefore, users LC facility. Users LC facility within parentheses capital R. Therefore, users LC facility is equal to LKR 200,000 into 2 at the rate of 100 equal to LKR 40 million. 40 million. That's your first facility. For the base of calculation, you get 1 or 2 marks. And for the answer, for the working, you get 1 mark or either 3 marks. Now, remember I told you, if there's a nuisance LC, obviously when the documents come, there's a bill outstanding, all right. But the bank will have to grant the acceptance facility also as well. The reason why is, when the documents come, bank will release the documents on endorsement, but after accepting the bill of exchange accepted, no payment. So the bank is giving the documents or releasing documents for him to pay the cargo without obtaining the payment. So that's a risk, bit of a risk. So therefore, bank has to earmark a further limit. That limit is called the acceptance facility, right? So we'll check the acceptance account behavior now. Acceptance account. Acceptance account. Now, if this is 6 days, this also has to be 6 days, because the same bill drawn against the LC. Right. Acceptance account. Starting from when? March. First March. This how this double entry get, completed. It debits LC outstanding account, credit the LC outstanding account, and debit the acceptance account for 200,000. 200,000. And when it is getting null, time it gets matures. And it says 60 days for the rate of acceptance. Right? 6 days for the rate of acceptance. So that means 6 days from here, you accept the bill after receipt of the documents. No, it doesn't say 6 days from the shipment date. It says acceptance. So you have to accept until after you receive the document. You receive the documents in March. So 6 days from March will be 2 months from March. So that will be 1st of May. 1st of May. Right? So document which you receive in 1st of April, it matures in 1st of June. Document received in 1st of May. I'm just writing, you need to write this just to explain you. 1st of May, it can matures in 1st of July. Likewise, you can, plot it down further. Now you see, at the end of March, the highest outstanding in the acceptance accounts will be 200,000. That is 200,000 into 1. End of April, it will be 200,000 into 2. End of May, it's again only 200,000 into 2 because this May and this May will go off. And this June and this June will go off. This July and this July will go off. This August and this August will go off. So any given time, the maximum outstanding will be 200,000 into 2. Right. So you see, second facility, acceptance facility. Capital A there, acceptance facility. Acceptance facility. For what you are marking the acceptance facility for raw material R. So you say, with parenthesis, you say capital R. So that's your caption. Underneath you say documents drawn against use and sales. Document drawn against use and sales. Documents drawn against use and sales. Document drawn against use and sales. Will receive 2 months from the date of issue of the LC. Will receive 2 months from the date of issue of the LC. Date of issue of the LC. 2 months. Since the tenor of the LC, is 60 days for the rate of acceptance. 6 days for the rate of acceptance. The user's bill falls due for payment. User's bill falls due for payment. Two months from the date of receipt of documents. 2 months from the date of receipt of documents. Receipt, RACEIPT, receipt of documents. A document. I miss one line. This particular line has to be stated before, right? So put in a square bracket. Put in a square bracket. Right? And take the arrow onto the first sentence, right? That is show this is the first sentence that you need to write, because examiner will hunt for this sentence. Now this is the one I missed that. You say, since Jayakanta Limited opened an nuisance LC to import raw material R. Open an nuisance LC to import raw material R. To import raw material R. Bank has to grant an acceptance facility. Bank has to grant an acceptance facility. Close the bracket. This particular sentence should come to your first logic copy base of calculation. You understood me, right? So put a what you call a square bracket into the sentence and take the sentence on top of it. Right. So you get an additional mark for this particular base of calculation. If they have allocated 2 marks, you are getting 3 marks. And almost all the base of calculation you get only 1 mark, and if they, for this you get 2 marks. Underneath. Therefore, revolving acceptance facility, within parenthesis R. Therefore, revolving acceptance facility is equal to LKR 200,000 into 2 at the rate of 100 equal to LKR 40 million. Right? Now see, to null the acceptance account in May 1st, the capital has to be infused to the acceptance account to make it null, to wipe off that acceptance account. To infuse the capital, bank has to finance as a short-term import loan. So you open a short-term import loan account, right? Short-term import loan account, and the loan has to be granted on 1st May, 1st June, 1st July, like that it keeps on going. So this is how the double entry gets completed. So 1st May, acceptance account gets credited. How? By debiting the loan account. 1st May, 200,000. 1st June, 200,000. 1st July, 200,000. Until when you have to keep on granting import loans? Until the export bills are purchased and credit comes due. So instead of giving the credit straight away to the customer, bank can see that the loan accounts are recovered and give the residual value to the customer. So the export bill purchase proceeds will come according to timeline in July, 1st July. You didn't mention the amount here. You want to make sure the export bill proceeds will take care of all the loans. If it doesn't, that means your preliminary interview with the customer and subsidy limits are error. Right? So that's a practical situation. This is how you structure the list. So until July, 1st May, 1st June, you have to keep on granted loans, short-term import loans. That is 200,000 into 2 at the rate of 100 for the year. Right. So what's the caption? Short-term import loan. Short-term import loan is the third facility, right? Third facility. Short-term import loan for the purpose of retiring. Retiring means settling. For the purpose of retiring. Users import bill. Users import bill. Users import bill. Right. Say, I need to look at the timeline. Right. Hope you can hear my voice, right? You take it down. You say, users import bill. Users import bill. Users import bill will fall due for payment. Will fall due for payment. Will fall due for payment 2 months from the date of receipt of documents. 2 months from the date of receipt of documents. Since it takes 4 months, since it takes 4 months to manufacture the goods and export them, and to purchase export bills. Bank has to grant short-term import loans at least for 2 import shipments. At least for 2 import shipments. Right. Underneath, therefore, loan facility for this purpose is equal to loan facility. It's good if you can say SIL facility or short-term import loan facility, because short-term loan and short-term import loan are 2 kinds. Therefore, loan facility for this purpose is equal to LKR 200,000 into 2 at the rate of 100 further equal to LKR 40 million. Right? This could be explained in this way also as well. Just have a look at it. Now see, this is the date that documents have received. When the document, I'm referring to the user's bill. When the document received in March, it falls due for payment in 2 months' time. April, May. So somewhere here, it matures. So if we try to push the customer and give loan, push the customer, he will have a lag another 2 months because he's yet to manufacture. He's in the process of manufacturing. So Bridget, we have to give for the next 2 months also until the export process comes. So you can explain in this manner also. That's how I have explained in the base of calculation. But this is the logical way of understanding. Accounting way. This is the what you call the logical way or the trade way of explaining. Right. So that's the short-term import loan facility, loan number 1. There are some more loans too. So we'll say loan number 1 in there, only in the rough sheet of paper. Then we'll move. Now we have another facility we left. To purchase export bill, we have to have a export bill purchasing facility. You can't just purchase it without having a facility. So therefore, we'll check the export bill purchase account now, EXBP. When you started to purchase the export bill, now that the receipt of documents, 4 months after that in July, 1st July. What is the amount of the export bill? Not 200,000, not even 100,000, but 350,000. Now, that's the common mistake that most of students do. Therefore, to eliminate that, what you call the error, in the timeline itself, you put this 350,000 K here. So you don't miss it then. So on 1st July, it's 350,000. Until when you have to keep on purchasing, until the bill get realized and hit our nostro account. That's in September. So the 1st September, we don't know what the amount of foreign bank charges will be deducted from the export proceeds. We will not know how much we will get it in figure wise. We will just say we are on the safe side, export bill, realize export bill purchase. You realize export proceeds in 1st September. So until 1st September from July, periodically, you have to purchase 2 export bills. July you have to purchase, August you have to purchase, September, from the September onwards you need not purchase because export proceeds will pour into account. So you have to bridge it for 2 months, right? You have to keep on purchasing for 2 export bills, that is 350,000 LKR into 2 at the rate of 100, right? That is 70 million. Yeah. Take that facility now. Export bill purchasing facility. Export bill purchasing facility. Value of the export bill is US dollar 350,000. US dollar 350,000. Tenor is 60 days DA. 6 days DA. Therefore, bank will have to purchase. Therefore, bank will have to purchase bills of two export shipments. Bills of two export shipments. Therefore, export bill purchasing facility. Therefore, export bill purchasing facility is equal to LKR 350,000 into 2 at the rate of 100. So 350 into 2 is $700,000. 700,000 into 100 is 70 million rupees. 70 million rupees. Right. Now we have a site LC. Right? So we have done the cycle of the R. That limit be structured. Now we have to draw up a limit for raw material M. Right. M is a site LC. And you have to open for 200,000. And remember, if I draw attention, for the third sentence of the second paragraph, that's the import length, it says, the LCs for the import of M have to be issued 4 weeks before the date of shipment, and the minimum order quantity is US dollars 200,000. If you have a hard copy, you just underline minimum order quantity. So have a practice of underlining this, that you will not forget it. Minimum order quantity is 200,000. 200,000 I have marked it. And just after that paragraph, it qualifies again. It says, for each export shipment, the raw material requirement US dollars 100,000 of M. US dollars 100,000 of M. We are talking about M now, 100,000 of M. So you need to have only 100,000 worth of goods for the first consignment of the export. But you have to order 200,000. So there's a qualification. So therefore, when you are taking down the what you call timeline in the first outset, you make a small symbol in here, a caution symbol. Right? For me, for CCC, I put a little bit of a spot in there. You can make a streak or some kind of a star in there, so that you will trigger, there's a qualification, so that you will refer back to the note before drawing the T account. Right. LC is a site and raw material M. First Jan, there's the LC 200,000. Right? But this particular 200,000 worth of goods come, it will suffice for 2 months. So therefore, you need to open an LC in February. If the customer says, I want to open an LC again next month, you will ask why. Because when the goods come for 200 worth of goods, that will be good enough for 2 export shipments. That's what the qualification says. So the first February, you didn't open an LC. So the first March, there will be another LC. So every other month, you have to keep on opening. Documents related to 1st January will come in 1st March. Because 1 month, 2 months time, documents will come. So the March document, for the March LC documents will come not in April, but in May. Right? Now see, any given time, the highest outstanding end of January is 200. End of February is 200. Again, February is not being mentioned here, but end of February is 200. End of March is again 200. So any given time, the maximum outstanding lying in the AC outstanding account and the site account will be only 200,000 into 1. Okay? 200,000 into 1 at the rate of 100. Okay? 20 million. Right? Now there's a little bit of a what you call unsmooth flow here. So therefore, I need to have a feedback from you. Just say whether you understood. Say yes. Just say why or no. Why you are in. Just give me a nudge quickly. Otherwise, I can put myself down a little bit, explain further. One or two people just tell me yes or no. At least you tell me no. Yes, I'm waiting for your response. I'll tell again. The minimum order, that is, you have to order 200,000 worth of goods, meaning you have to open an LC for 200,000. But when the goods come for the worth of 200,000 worth of goods, you have to have half of that only, because it says only 100,000 worth of them needed to assemble the export. So therefore, when you open an LC in January, again you need to open an LC in February, because this January LC's goods will be enough for 2 months. So every other month you have to open an LC there. That was my argument. Now just tell me whether you understood that or not. Right. Give me feedback quickly. No, I'm not getting a feedback from you all. At least one or two people have to tell me whether it's whether you understood or not for me to proceed further. Right. Thank you for some kind of feedback. That is okay. I will explain. Before that, just read with me the paragraph that is which is in the import leg. Catch the sentence from where I'm reading. That is from the import leg. Third paragraph of the sub, right? The LC is for the import of M. I'm focusing on M only. Yeah? The LC is before that. Again, you need to give me a feedback about raw material R. The full cycle, did you understand? At least just tell me yes or no on that. Otherwise, you have to revert back, no? How about the raw material R? That you understood? Give me a feedback on that. With regard to raw material R, did you understand? One or two people say yes or no. That is, you open the LC periodically for 200,000, then the acceptance account is open. And once the acceptance account is matured for payment, you grant a loan. So loan account getting wiped off when you purchase bills. Purchase bill account get wiped off when the document, what you call this proceeds are getting realized. So that's the cycle that I was going to the T accounts. Right. So I hope you are not give your feedback to me. I hope that you understood that part. So coming to the second one, that is the raw material M. Read with me the second, what you call the third paragraph from this sentence onwards. That is, the LCs for the import of M have to be issued 4 weeks before the date of shipment, and the minimum order quantity is US$ 200,000. So that is why I put this 200,000 in here, 200,000 here, right? And in the second paragraph, it says, in the next paragraph, it says, for each export shipment for the raw material requirement is 100,000 of M. 100,000, we are focusing on M, no? 100,000 of M. So for the export shipment, you need only 100,000 worth of goods. So just because you open 200, but you have to open, you can't open for 100,000 because when you order, it compels you to open for 200,000. Right? Seller says to the buyer, if maybe you need only 100,000 worth of goods to do the export manufacturing. But when you're ordering, you have to order 200,000 worth of goods. That is why you open an LC for 200,000. But that doesn't mean you have to keep on opening monthly, because when the documents and goods come for the LC which drawn against 200,000, that will be suffice for 2 months. 2 months. That is why you open LCs every other month. Every other month, right? Now see whether you can understand. Now give me a what you call a feedback. You have to give a little bit of a thought in there, not very complicated, but give a little bit of a thought. Right. Give me a feedback quickly. There were 2 feedbacks, no? Asking me to explain further a little bit. That was Naguleshwar and Abhishek wanted me to explain, and Sashini, and Abhishek says no again. So you mean to say that you didn't understand again, or what? Now pity, okay. You mean say that now you understood, right? How about Sashini? You are with me? I can see now it's clear. Now there are 14 people in the forum. Anybody else I could like to have a feedback before proceeding further? Can anybody else also say they understood? Right. Thank you, Johan. I hope others also. I know this is this is not very easy going. You have to give a little bit of thought. Read the sum once again, right? I hope that you have. I can see a message or two saying that the board is not clear. That is for the sheer reason that I am dancing here. I will make sure that I will not, move that much once I read, because the camera is in autofocus, not in manual. So therefore, it will be a little bit of a time lag in there, and it takes what is the movements are. So I will minimize my dancing in front of the board so that we will have a clear vision on the baggy board. I'm so sorry about that, of course. And Rigma is telling what is the handout. This is the handout that I gave you last time. Assignment revolving facilities one. There were 3 handouts, and this is the first handout. So Rigma, I hope that you have collected all the handouts. If you are not, if you have missed the class, the issue is if you miss one class in this, of course, it's extremely difficult to catch up, right? Yes, Rigma, you should be able to contact either Kavindra or Menaka and get the what you call the handouts, any missed handouts, right? So this tells me that you have missed the last session, I guess. Then of course it's a bit difficult to catch up also. All right. Thank you, Johan, for that hint. It says available on Google Classroom as well. Right. Thank you, Johan, for that. It will benefit for the source as well if people have missed the handout. More than missing the handout, don't miss the class, right? The class is not a class that you can afford to miss one, at least one, because if you have a little bit of a difficulty of understanding otherwise. So I will not sum up then. I will what do you call proceed with the site LC from as it is. And still, if anybody has a little bit of difficulty of understanding this, that of course I understand. Then of course you rather contact me through my mobile or through my email, right? So where was I? Give me a second. So we won the LC site. You open LC into what you call in January. No LC in February, but on March 1st, no LC in April, but in May. So documents are coming in March. Why? The LC, the gap between the document receipt and the date of opening is 1 month. 4 weeks. 4 weeks is, well, rather 2 months. So the 1st January LC, the March documents will come. There's no February. There's the March LC. That document will come in May. Prompts us to notice that what you call outstanding only for 200,000. Right. So take the base of calculation. AC facility. Put the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's the 4th facility or 5th facility. Say LC facility site hyphen within parentheses M. Right. To import raw material M. To import raw material M. Jayakant Limited will have to open a site LC. Will have to open a site LC to the value of US$ 200,000. To the value of US$ 200,000. Since the raw material M required only US$ 100,000 worth of goods, the customer will have to open LCs every other month. The customer will have to open LCs every other month. that goes without saying, he has to open for 200,000 worth of LCs, right? Every other month. This will be further understood if you read these particular two paragraphs together very carefully and try to understand on your own way and get my logic right, right? Every other month, not monthly. Now, this is the catch that you find in this particular sum, apart from the other sums. That's a qualification. Now, this is a standard that you are getting to the exam also as well. If you go through the past papers, you will see these type of sums have been given. Right. Every other month. Therefore, no, so strike the word therefore in there. I'm sorry, strike the word therefore and say this LC will have to be open 4 weeks prior to the date of shipment. This LC will have to be open 4 weeks prior to the date of shipment. It will take further 4 weeks to receive the documents and goods. Therefore, this LC will be outstanding only for 1 month. Only for 1 month. Right. So you will get an extra 1 point for that particular logic, right? Because you are opening LCs every other month. The gap between the LC and the doc receive date is 2 months, right? 2 months. So every other month here, every other month means you have a outstanding of 1 month. Right? That's what we call the mathematical test, right? You have 2 months, every other month means you will be outstanding 1 month. Right. Therefore, underneath, revolving LC facility hyphen site within parenthesis M is equal to LKR 200,000 into 1 at the rate of 100 further equal to LKR 20 million. 200,000 into 1 at the rate of 100 equal to 20 million LKR. Right. Now we are not checking the bill outstanding here. For explaining purposes only, I will check the bill outstanding, but you needn't have a bill outstanding limit. The reason why site most of the documents are received to finance or demand from the customer out of his own funds. If the customer is unable to pay, then you have to fund it. So at the first outset, when the letter of offers are drafted to earmark the limits, you take the position as if the bank has to fund it and try to draw up a loan account straight away. Short-term input loan. For what purpose? To retire site input bills in this time. You don't have acceptance facility because this AC is not a nuisance AC. Right. So when the documents are coming? In March. So the March, you have to have the loan account ready. 200,000. When is the second loan will be granted? Is it April? No. That is another area that you do a mistake. The next document will come in May. Why? The LCs are opening every other month. Documents are also coming every other month from the date of receipt of documents. So first receipt of documents will be 1st March. Second documents will not come in 1st April but in May. Right? So until when the documents, what you call the loans has to be granted, until the export bills are being purchased, proceeds will come. That will come in July. Export bill purchase proceeds will come in 1st July. So until July, you have to keep on granting loans. Granting loans. 1st March, 1st May, then it will be not 1st June, 1st July. Right? So July, we are not granting because the proceeds are coming from July onwards. So the loan will be 200,000 into 2. At the rate of 100. Right? Say, tax facility, you maintain a numeric order, no? Right? With that number, you say short-term import loan for the purpose of retiring site import bill. Short-term import loan for the purpose of retiring site import bill. Site import bill. Say, documents are received. Documents are received 1 month after the date of LC. Documents are received 1 month after the date of LC. Since the LCs are open every other month means what? You can use your own what you call word in the or any flow of writing. Every other month means what I meant was actually this month yes, next month no. Other month, next after next, it will be yes, right? Then every other month, right? The knuckle test. First knuckle, third knuckle, like that, right? Since the LCs are open every other month, since the LCs are open every other month, documents also will receive. Documents also will receive every other month. Every other month. Every other month, right? Every other month. Right. Since time taken to manufacture goods and export them, since time taken to manufacture and export them, will be 4 months. Will be 4 months. will be 4 months. Bank has to grant import loans short-term import loans. Include the word short-term in there. Bank has to grant short-term import loans for 2 import shipments. Right. Again, the knuckle test here. Timetable to manufacture goods is 4 months from the date of receipt. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the LCB normal every other month, documents will come every other month. So 1, you miss these 2. So there will be only 2 import shipments. You'll never go wrong, some rule, right? You'll never go wrong. So timetable manufacture goods, you look at the timeline, you can get it explained in that way also as well. For the receipt of documents, it will take further 4 months. That is, you have to grant 4 import shipments, provided the documents are coming every month periodically until July. But in this case, the documents are coming every other month, starting from March. The reason why, because LCs are open every other month. So therefore, you will have to have only 2 import loans, not 4 import loans, only 2 import loans. That's why I explained in different ways. Therefore, short-term import loan facility for this purpose is equal to LKR 200,000 into 2 at the rate of 100 equal to LKR 40 million. LKR 40 million. Right? So these are the facilities called the timeline. So don't forget, we have missed the T and the clearing charges, right? So it's very prudent or it's very worthy if you write here T. If you find any item that you have to purchase locally, which is off the queue, then you write it T here and say clearing charges also. And this is only for your reference, huh? Otherwise, you will lose marks for not giving what you call calculative facilities for that. Right. I know that the sum is a bit heavy. Do this sum over and over again. Don't do different sums. Do this sum over and over again until you get your fist right and the accuracy and the speed especially. Limit for your target has to be 25 minutes. 25 minutes. Just see, maximum of 30 minutes you can hit the sum perfectly along with the rest of calculation. If you get stuck, refer again, do it again. Right. Now we'll read about T, where we referred. This is the 4th paragraph, starting which for each export shipment, the raw material requirement of P is $7,000. $7,000. Right? $7,000. And the 3rd paragraph, last sentence, it says the raw material T will have to be purchased at the time of taking delivery of the imported raw materials. Right. So we have to take off another import loan facility, a local pledge loan, local TR or local trust receipt loan. Right. Because you are purchasing locally. That is your the loan but the T will be purchased at the time of taking delivery. That's what the sum says. It says the raw material T will have to be purchased at the time of taking delivery of the imported raw materials. Right. So RMM being imported already, but you can't manufacture until you buy the T also as well. So you have to calculate the number of shipments, that you have cleared, not the number of shipments, the time period that you have cleared, so that you will include TOS as well, right? So from March up to July, counting March also, March, April, May, June. July the process will come now. So March, April, May, June, 4 months. Right? So these 4 months, there is shipment getting cleared. Either RM or R only, because M is in the stores only. Right? If you are clearing stock of M this month, there won't be a clearance next month. But what you clear this month, excess will be in the warehouse. So either way, you are clearing for 4 months, right? If M is not there, R is there, so you are clearing for 4 months. So for 4 months, you have to purchase the T. That is $7,000. And you have to grant a loan for this. That's all. That is 2.8 million. So you can think of a short-term loan or a local pledge loan. Right? Or local TR loan, you can call it local TR loan, or short-term loan, or a what you call a pledge loan. Right. Now say next facility, short-term loan. You can't say importer. You are purchasing locally, short-term loan. You say pledge or local. Pledge or local. In the pledge, the ownership of the goods belongs to the customer, but the goods are in dual control with the bank and the customer. I will explain that later if time permits at the next session or so, because for short notes they will ask the differences between what you call the pledge and TR. You go through my handout. In the first handout, I have given the second documentation. You will see these differences between the pledge and the short term, what you call these trust receipt loans that I have given. Right. So short term loan, don't say import loan, short term loan. That's what you call STL in the bank. STL. Right. Short term loan for the purpose of purchase of raw material T. For the purchase of raw material T. For the purpose of purchasing of raw material T. Right. Jayakant Limited will have to purchase raw material T locally. At the time of taking delivery, of the imported raw materials R and M. Of the imported raw materials R and M. Time taken to manufacture and export time taken to manufacture and ready for export, will be 4 months. That's in the sub given, huh? Will be 4 months. Therefore, customer has to purchase raw material tea four times. Think of a better word. That is not a very proper, appropriate word. It just came to my mouth, right? 4 times. Or you can say 4 occasions is a better word, I think. 4 times. Right. Simple like that. Therefore, short-term loan for this purpose is equal to क्या 7,000 into 4. This is 7,000, yes. 7,000 into 4 at the rate of 100. 7 into 4 is 28, that is 2.8 million. 2.8 million. They get 2.8 million. Right. Now we will have the custom duty and the clearing charges. Custom duty and clearing charges for each shipment is 5,000 and will have to be paid on arrival of the goods. Overhead expense and basic will be borne by Jayakanta. Right. Custom duty and clearing charges for each shipment. So you have to count the number of shipments now. You have to forget about the T because it's been purchased locally now. So R and M, you have to count the number of shipments, how much of shipments that they are cleared. Right. R monthly from month, that is from March to July. March, April, May, June. Right? 4 months. M getting cleared only for 2 months. Every other month too. So all in all, there will be 6 shipments. 6 shipments into 5,000 is the clearing charges. At the rate of 100. It's 3 million. Understood? Right. So I didn't draw the T accounts, huh? If you draw the T accounts also, understood, right? Right. Say you don't give short-term input goals for these, huh? For clearing charges, you always if you are a good fund manager, if you are a good bank manager, if you can monitor the what you call the funds of the customer, particular customer, they might have to give overdraft, or you give a short-term loan. So next one, short-term loan for the purpose of custom duty and clearing charges. Right. As explained in the above facilities, there are 4 clearances of raw material R and 2 clearances of raw material M. totaling to 6 clearances. Totaling to 6 clearances. Therefore, the loan facility for this purpose is equal to LKR 5,000 into 6 at the rate of 100. LKR 3 million. LKR 3 million. Fine. So, if possible, attempt question number 7 and come next week. And also, now this is the time that you need to, my time is up, right? I'm winding up. This is the time that you need to correct your past papers. Not every past paper that you need to buy, because most of the past paper questions I have incorporated in my assignments, either in a modified way or in a bit of an advanced way. So I will tell you exactly what past papers that you need to buy, right? I think they have to, yes, you have to buy. Either way, I don't know whether you can get it printed, which is freely available, I do not know. I will do a little bit of study on that and let you know what the exact past papers that you need to buy. In the meantime, you attempt and come the question number 7 in the first assignment. No harm if you do the other answers as well. And yes, attempt the question number 7 and come next time, right? So I'll see you on next Sunday, and we'll do some indirect facilities, and I will pay on to reform customs and practice for document getting, that is UCP 600 next Sunday, right? And here and there, if time permits, if I feel bored a little bit, because UCP is a very cumbersome and a tough area, to give a little break, I will do a forex sum or a what you call a facility sum in between, so that it will be fresh and new until the exam. Right, study well and come, and attempt the question number 7 and come. And if you have anything, you can just make a quick what do you call this thing here. Right, there are no feedback saying that it's clear and all right. Okay, Sashini, you are welcome. I think Ridma, I think your question would have been answered, no? How do you get it, in the sense like in the past papers? Yes. Fine. All right then, I'll see you on next Sunday.